Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Stocks All Day with Dr. O'Day, my $1,000 journey. So in today's video, I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update on my latest investment, which is Shopify. What I've started to realize while just kind of watching Shopify over the last few days is I think that my 6% increase is actually going to be a little bit low in this particular stock. It's actually signaling a lot of bullish trends. We've got Black Friday and Christmas coming up, the holiday season, and so what I actually expect is that probably Shopify is going to continue to increase, and I'm going to show you kind of beyond just the fact that Black Friday is today, Christmas is coming. I'm going to show a few other indicators that signal to me that actually my original sell price of around $1,050 is actually probably a little bit too low, and why I'm going to go ahead and stick with Shopify at least a little bit longer to see kind of can I make a little bit of extra percentage here based on the indications that I'm seeing and why I'm choosing to stick this one out just a little bit more. So stick around, I'll walk you through exactly what's happening there that's leading me to think that this is going to continue to increase at least for the next few days. So I bought Shopify stock on 11-20, so just a few days ago, about 7 days ago now at this point. I bought it for $993.55. That was one share at the time. And I got that. So what I calculated again with my strategy, I'm always seeking a 6% increase on my investments, and this $993.55 plus a 6% increase would be a selling price of $1,053.16. Now today we've been seeing that Shopify stock is going up quite a bit. It's kind of tapered down a little bit in the last hour or so, but Shopify has been going up pretty substantially. I think it actually hit about $1,043. So we were actually making our way up to this 1053 mark. But what I've decided to do is hold on to Shopify stock just a little bit longer, and here's kind of what I'm looking at. So I've added on this graph a horizontal line right at 849.78, and the reason that I've added that is that looks to be about like the support line here. Where typically it kind we're seeing drops kind of close to that support line, not quite all the way down to it there. We see a drop a little bit close to that support line there, and we're seeing drops pretty close to that support line right here. And I just kind of eyeballed, I threw that support line on there, and what we're seeing is that the stock generally doesn't drop much below 849.78. At least in the past few months. This is tracking it back from July. So if I was going to put a stop loss in, I would probably put it somewhere around there. Now I'm watching this pretty heavily, so I don't actually currently have a stop loss on this particular stock. I'm just going to continue to watch it pretty heavily, and if I see a sell signal from either the MACD, the simple moving average, or the RSI, I'll go ahead and sell that. But until then, I'm sitting pretty confident on this particular stock, and I think that it's going to continue to increase. So now let's look at the resistance bands that I've added. I added one little resistance band up here, way up at 1145. That's kind of where it peaked, right here back in September, peaked around 1145. I mean, maybe it gets back up to there, but I'm not going to plan on that. You all know that my strategy is not to hit the highest peaks, it's to gain 6% every time I invest. This particular case, though, I do think I want to stick around for a little bit longer than that 6% increase. And I'm going to kind of draw your attention more to this other resistance band that I've added at $1,097.63. So what we're seeing, and the way that these resistance and these supports work, is you basically try to see where those peaks are and what it's getting up to and then what it's going down to. You can draw these bands and you kind of have an idea of where that stock is going to go, at least based on where it's been, but there's a few other things that we're looking for here. So first off, the reason that I bought this stock was because the MACD was signaling a buy, the simple moving average was signaling a buy, so I bought on 1120. That was a pretty good time to get into this. We did actually see that there was a little bit of a decrease in the stock price right in here. Let me zoom in on that. There was a little bit of a decrease right here, but actually What happened here is actually a pretty bullish buy indicator. So this actually signals that probably something bullish is about to happen, because what's happening here is we saw, so when you see three green lines, especially when they aren't really decreasing in size, you see three green candlesticks here. That's called a three soldiers, and that's signaling kind of a bearish market. So this was a good sign right as I was buying in. But then actually, this isn't a bad sign right here. Now, I was a little bit worried that things were decreasing, because obviously when you watch things as closely as I did, I saw that price drop about $30 a share from what I bought it at, which, by the way, that's not very much in the grand scheme. It's about 2 to 3% in a stock that's priced this highly. But actually, what's happening right here is not a cause for alarm. So what's happening is the bulls are coming in. It's acting kind of bullish right here, but the bears are trying to take over right here, but they're not getting very far. So see how both of these reds don't even hardly dip below this green, and then immediately it's followed up by a nice green upward trend candlestick right here. That's a good thing. That's signaling that the bulls have taken over. The bears tried right here to take over, but the bulls kind of won out there. And that's actually signaling that this is going to continue to climb. And we saw that this ended at 1019. I'm expecting this to continue to climb. So far today it has. We're back up to 1037 as I'm speaking. And I think based on these indicators, I mean, there's other things that we're seeing as well. I mean, what we saw when I first bought in, there's a little bit of a morning star happening right here, where there's a pretty strong negative decrease. It shores up a little bit, a smaller candlestick pattern, and then we had, a positive increase there. So there's a decent amount of things that are signaling right now that this is going to be a fairly bullish trend, at least in the short term, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and stick around, because I think that we're going to get pretty darn close to this 1097, and rather than selling at 1053, which would be right around here, that would have been my sell price. I think it's going to go quite a bit higher. I'm going to capitalize. I'm going to see if I can get maybe around a 10% increase. And I've actually set my sell price at $1,100. Nice round number there. And I'm basing that again on these resistance bands that I think it's going to go at least up to that right now, based on these buy indicators. Now you could say, okay, well, the last couple times we've had a peak, it didn't get up that high. And that's true. But there's a couple things that are happening here. So one, we're not going to time this perfectly ever, and this might happen. So that's complete. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if this continued to happen, and I actually ended up losing a little bit, and I end up not even getting that 6% gain. But I'm going to go ahead and chance it, because generally what we're seeing is that if we zoom out here, Shopify stock, once you have those kind of upward positive trends, happens for a while. Maybe it gets a little bit overbought up here, and you start to kind of see those overbought tendencies, where people kind of get excited about Shopify, but then the bears take over and it goes down for a little bit, at least a few days. But again, right now, I think that based on this trend, it looks like we've overcome a little bit of a bearish influence there, and it seems like now we're going to continue to increase. And we didn't see this little pattern happening back here. We didn't see that pattern in the last couple times that this has happened. Instead, it just went up and then came back down fairly sharply. So I'm going to stick around. I'm going to try to get 1100 out of this one. I just wanted to provide an update as to why I wasn't selling at 1053 like I had originally specified. That's all I have for today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and continue to follow along my $1,000 journey.